Welcome back to Central Valley Talk, the truly international talk show where I get to talk to authors from all over the world. I have the best job in the world because I love books and I love talking to authors and getting their ideas. And by the way, today, I always brag about authors from all over the world, but today every guest has been from the Southwest United States. New Mexico, and our next guest, David Pope, let's see if I can find him, is, I believe, in Arizona. David?
That's correct. Prescott, Arizona.
Prescott, nice. Now, let me ask you this. Here's the book cover, How Can I Help You? And I've been reading about it. I love to talk about this topic, and I love people that are knowledgeable about it and can actually help others with what they're facing. But tell us, David, a little bit about the book.
Well, there's all kinds of self-help books out there. I wanted to write a help others book. Mm-hmm. And I kind of describe it on the back cover. It says, do you have a heart to help others through their struggles but aren't sure how? David J. Pope draws from more than 40 years of experience in the addiction mental health fields to provide you with practical tips, examples, and guidelines for helping others through a wide range of personal issues. So I was in the addiction mental health field in Iowa, Nebraska, and then the last several years in Arizona. And, you know, people at church would come up to me and say, hey, you're a counselor. I have this relative. I have my spouse. I have my kids that are struggling with addiction or mental health issues. What do I do? And I'd give them guidance. Yeah. Well, at the end of my career, I was thinking I should write a book about that. So I retired about a year and a half ago, and that's what I did.
I just feel like everybody is touched by this at some time in their life. And for each of the people who are touched by it, it's brand new. They think they're the first person going through it, but that's not true, is it?
Not at all. And I tell you what, if you look at all of the different topics I cover in this book, and you say, I've never had to deal with any of those, write a book and tell the rest of us how you avoided it. Because just about all of us go through some of these things. Some of us go through them several times and several different areas.
Yeah. Now, the addiction is a tough one. I've had friends that are wrapped up in addiction, and you just don't know what to do.
Yeah, you know, what I try to do in each of the chapters, the first chapter just kind of covers basic ways to help anyone, mm-hmm. and I go through a problem-solving models and things like that. And then in the addiction chapter and all the ones on specific issues, I kind of give a definition of that particular area in the example of addiction. My definition of addiction I get from Bob and Mary McAuliffe. They wrote a book a long time ago that describes this, and I think it's the easiest to explain and easiest to see if it fits you. The definition is addiction is an unhealthy relationship to a drug expecting a reward. So there's three things you need. Number one, a reward. If you don't like the way it feels, you're not going to be addicted to it. There's a reason that the alcoholic goes to a bar, the drug addict goes to the dealer, the gambling addict goes to the casino, and the sex addict goes to porn. So if you like the way it feels, doesn't necessarily make you an addict, but it makes you a potential addict. The second thing is a relationship. It occupies a place in your life. Mm-hmm. Now, you can have a healthy relationship with drugs. If you're on blood pressure medicine, I hope you have a healthy relationship. The third thing is that relationship has become unhealthy. That's when people want to fight me with all the time. You probably heard the saying, I don't have a drinking problem. I get drunk, I fall down, I get up, no problem. Yeah. That's kind of the attitude a lot of people have. Yeah. So part of helping other people is just to, show them how that relationship has become unhealthy, mm-hmm. how it's messing up other people, and look at, hey, how can we get you the rewards you sought from the drug in a way that doesn't create all these negative things? If I can get the same rewards without any of the negative, staying clean is pretty easy.
I hate to say this, but it sounds like food. Food, I guess.
Food is, I cover a lot of different addictions at the end of that chapter, and yes, food is one of them. You got to eat, but a lot of people have a very unhealthy relationship with food.
Now, who needs this book? It sounds like everybody could use it.
Well, it's from a Christian perspective, and one of the Bible verses I put in there is, that we are to carry each other's burdens. That is the job of absolutely every Christian. The problem we get into is, I don't know how to carry this person's burdens. You know, their experience is different than mine. So I'm just trying to give some basic tips. At the end of each chapter, I give 5 do's, 5 don'ts. So 5 things you should do to help people, 5 things you want to avoid if you're trying to help people, and then 3 little tips that you can do right now.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I like I was saying earlier, you know, I've only gone through 1 or 2 addicts in my life, and neither of those turned out very good. But you've gone through dozens or hundreds or thousands maybe.
Oh, literally thousands of people over a 40-year career, yeah. And, you know, in a variety of capacities. I was in the addiction field for quite a while before I got in the mental health field. And I was kind of concerned at first, am I going to be able to transfer those skills? And it turns out dealing with an individual and their individual problems is more the task than dealing with a particular diagnosis. You just have to develop a relationship with the person and, you know, look at what you can do to help get them to be as functional as possible. Can I go through what the different topics are?
Go ahead.
Sure. All right. So,
yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Like I say, the first one is the basics of helping, and then we go through addictions, codependence, anger issues, marital and family issues, trauma, shame and guilt, depression, anxiety, grief. That's a big one a lot of people deal with.
Yeah.
Other mental health issues like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and things like that. And again, I define what the issues are and give some tips on how to help in that area. And then chapter 11 is disabilities. My wife is disabled. She's in a wheelchair. She's born with spina bifida. So she kind of gives her story, and we give some tips on how to help people with disabilities. And then a final thoughts chapter where it's really some devotional material. I go through the fruits of the Spirit, and I give kind of a breakdown of the long version of the Serenity Prayer. And then the last chapter, I used a lot of sayings over and over again when I was in the counseling career, and one of my coworkers dubbed them Popeisms. So I have this collection of sayings at the end that people kind of enjoy. So
some Popeisms.
That's a tribute to him. Yeah. Yep.
When I was studying and doing the background on your book for this interview, you know, I was just thinking addiction, but now we're talking, this mental health is in the news all the time now, from, you know, guy driving
Absolutely.
his truck through the crowd in New Orleans to, you know, a famous movie star. Her husband killed himself in the last couple days, and, you know, it's being talked about more and more when it was kind of a taboo subject, but I think it's good. I hope it's good that people are talking about it more.
Absolutely. And what we're trying to do, you know, I talk a lot about Celebrate Recovery. You know, that happens to be a program that I'm a leader in and a great advocate for. Yeah. You know, in Celebrate Recovery, a lot of people think of that as a Christian AA, but only 1 in 3 people that goes to Celebrate Recovery has an addiction problem. Other people are dealing with, like you're talking about, suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, grief, divorce, all things like that. And man, Celebrate Recovery is a great big tent. Everybody can come in and get help there.
Yeah, amazing. Now, I keep coming back to this, but it seems like everybody could use this book, because either we're going to need help, or more likely even we're going to be in a position where we can help others, and this book could kind of be a guidebook for that.
That was my goal, is to just give people a simple guidebook with simple tools that they could use when they're confronted with somebody that's dealing with those issues. Yeah. And yes, of course, you can always apply the information to yourself, but my main goal is to help people help others.
Yeah. Grief especially, we're all going to know somebody who's grieving, and we're all going to grieve at some point in our life. And a lot of people don't know how to help that for themselves or help other people. You just don't know what to say sometimes.
Yeah, I belong to a congregation, you know, that's older. Actually, you know, my wife and I are in our 60s. We're in the younger half of the congregation. So yeah,
You're the kids.
we deal with a lot of grief. But every time there's a memorial service for somebody that's passed on, we try to make it a celebration. I can share you, I have time for a quick story from the book. Yeah. The best lesson I learned on grief, for example, I had a lady who was, she was actually one of the workers at Teddy Bear Hollow. That's a program that started out helping children through their grief when they lost a parent, but now it's just a general grief program. And what she would do is she would take a fishbowl in front of the group filled with water, and then she'd have a bunch of vials of food color. And she'd say, what color is your grief? Somebody would say blue because I'm sad. So she'd put a couple drops of blue in there. Yellow because I don't know how I'm going to get on without this person. She'd put a couple drops of yellow. After she put in 6 or 7 drops, the water would get really murky and really dark. Then she would say, how would you deal with your grief? And she'd pour in some bleach, and the water would start to clear up. No matter how much bleach she put in, it never got completely clear. And her point was, your life is going to be changed as a result of the loss, but it doesn't have to be a negative change. You can remember that person and get on with your life, even though they're no longer with you. You're just living a different life with that person no longer being here. Wow. I thought that was a great lesson.
Yeah, it is. And David, I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired to read this book, but I'm inspired to give it to some people too. So I think I'll do that.
Please.
Yeah, I'll do
Buy
that.
hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah. David, we've gone over time, but you're fascinating. I enjoyed talking to you. Any last thoughts you want to share with our viewers about you, the book, or anything in the world?
No, but, definitely it's on Amazon, and there is a Kindle version. And if you have any comments, please email me at my website, davidjpope.com.
Yeah.
And again, I thank you so much for this opportunity.
And thank you, David. And I can't wait to share this interview and this book with some people. So I think it could be transformational for a lot of people. So thank you for doing that, David. And for our viewers, don't go anywhere. We will be back with another author right after this.